Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. This one is called A Shift in Wardrobe. My name is Wick, and I am joined by the lovely
Quinn, I'm here,
Yes.
and I was the one who kind of brought this up because I got a cool thing, and my character has no idea how to use it because we didn't actually get it while playing a campaign.
But there's always a chance to learn. So,
Yes, there's always a chance to learn and make a fun little one-shot out of it.
yeah, just a little thing. So, I guess the best way to start off is
We should also introduce characters, shouldn't we? Or at least I should introduce
right.
mine since I'm going to only be I'm one of the main ones. I'm playing Kirian Blackwelle today. He got a thing. He doesn't know what it does. He knows it's magic, but that's really about it.
Nice. And I might be playing one or two different characters. It depends on who he meets. So, speaking of Kirian, what's he up to? What's he doing?
Well, what my thought is, which is what I tend to do, is that when I get something and I don't know how it works, I go to look it up. And since Kirian doesn't have an internet, that leaves one option for how he's going to figure this out, which is he's going to head for a library to see if he can maybe find something on magic items.
Nice. Now, there's an important question. Does he know where the library is?
Probably not. He travels a lot, and
Right.
it's really hard to remember where the library is when you go to a bunch of different towns all the time. So I guess the first one would be survival to figure out where it is.
Yep, you can roll that.
Yep. It's not a very high modifier, but it does the trick. Oh, hey!
And it's 16.
He makes a very good educated guess, which is probably that a lot of libraries are usually located in the town center. So if you find a town center, which is usually near stuff like the town hall and such, you can usually figure out where the library is from there, or at least walk around the block enough to figure out which building it is.
Yep, there are probably a couple of signs too, so
also true.
You make your way. You're making your way downtown.
Yeah. He's also stored his magic item inside the satchel that he carries around because sometimes you don't want to deal with hammer space when you're trying to pull out a thing to figure out what it does. And
yeah, no,
it's easier. It's easier to keep track of things that way.
Precisely. But Kirian, you make your way through the rather sparse crowds. It's not very crowded. Even though it is the town center, there doesn't seem to be a lot of hustle and bustle today. Seems kind of nice. But you approach what you hope is the library, especially since it's got like one of those pictograph signs that just has like a book on it.
Well, his thoughts are either that's a bookstore or it's a library. Only going inside will tell. And as for why it's so quiet, he's probably assuming that, it's midweek, probably about midday-ish, maybe early morning. So a lot of people are either at work or at school. So, of course, there aren't a lot of crowds. It's not the weekend.
Yes, not yet. But,
good day for research. Yeah, he probably does. Like, he doesn't really have any reason to suspect that, something bad would happen, so there's no reason to hesitate. Except, like, double check and make sure that the counter that he sees just past the doors is, an actual librarian's counter and not, like, a sales counter.
Makes sense. So you take a step inside. What you going for? What you looking for?
Well, considering this item currently has the appearance of a pile of rags that feels magic, his first thought would be to look into, like, I suppose in a fantasy world there would be a section dedicated to like magic items that people could potentially pick up because it's not that uncommon there. Logically there would be like a section where you could look up basic ones to figure out what they are.
That's true. But you gotta figure out where that is, don't you?
Yep, which means it's probably time for an investigation because he knows what he's looking for. He knows what kind of section he's looking for. The question is finding that section because I know that my mom works in a library. I know how usually that a lot of the sections in a library are usually labeled in some form or another to help you figure out what's what. So he's gonna do
you can roll either investigation or perception if you'd like.
Same modifier.
Nice. 15.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. Pretty good so far.
Yeah. Those signs do help when the shelves are labeled. But you kind of make your way through the myriad of shelves that are in this library. You do see a couple other tunes kind of milling about. But you are focused in on getting to this section for magic items.
Yep.
And you get there and actually, do you mind rolling me a perception?
Sure. I don't mind.
14.
He's going progressively lower.
Just incrementally, just one.
Yes.
But
he went to 16, rolls. Then 15, now 14. I'm starting to get a little bit worried for how his rolls are going to go for this.
Well, so far so good still. So you get to the magic item section here. And, you could start looking through the titles a little bit. But you also notice that there seems to be some, like, kind of bunched up cloth. Seems to be on, like, I'd say, like, the 4th shelf. I think they go 5 shelves high, probably.
Yeah, 4 to 5 is usually the standard for a library catering to adults. Ones for, like, younger kids usually are shorter. I grew up in a library. I know these fine details. I can't help it.
But yeah, they're just these bunched up cloths, it seems.
He kind of gives it a raised eyebrow look because that's a little bit weird, but he doesn't think, but he doesn't think anything bad would happen. But then again, he's here looking for information on a magic item that's a pile of cloth. So weird how that's kind of lining up. How there's this mysterious pile of cloth in the library where he's gone looking for information on a mysterious pile of cloth.
Yes, plot convenience.
Yes, the most convenient of plot hints. But I think he's probably going to roll another investigation because he's probably going to be looking along specifically for books about like clothing and cloth and such, because usually those tend to all kind of bundle up together.
Okay.
Oh.
Yo, that's 20.
Oh!
Wow.
He keys in
Well,
and probably finds like 6 or 7 books on that topic.
yeah, actually, it just so happens on that particular shelf with the cloth, a bit farther to the left, there seems to be quite a number of books on cloth, on how to imbue magic into cloth. There are different items related to either cloth or magic cloth.
Or like, probably wardrobes, because like, I'm sure there's like a lot of enchanted armor and robes.
Yeah, it's got all sorts of stuff. I will say with that nat 20 as well, though, as you look through each of the titles, and as as you lean a little bit closer to the cloth, you swear you could hear something breathing.
Okay. Okay. He starts to lean over, and then there's the immediate full stop of, hold on. Hold up. Wait a minute. And he's going to slowly turn his attention to the breathing pile of cloth, because that's not a normal noise. That he shouldn't be hearing that from a pile of stuff. Okay. He really hopes that this is a library that doesn't have security so lax that monsters can come sneaking in. Because that's probably a thing that can be worried about.
That's a valid concern.
So, let's see, what can he do to investigate that? Have to admit, one of my first thoughts is pulling out some of his spells, because one of the things that he can do is use detect thoughts, but he doesn't know if this is he doesn't know if it's the cloth that is breathing, or if there's just like a really, really small tune under the pile of cloth that is breathing.
That is true, but I think either way, if you were to use detect thoughts, it would probably work.
Yeah, I think he's gonna cast detect thoughts. Let me double check how to make that work.
Yeah, because I need to remember how that works. I haven't used it before.
That's why I love using the app, because I can tap on the spell and it'll tell me what it does. I don't need to go hunting to look it up. See. Oh, let's see. The save is a wisdom of 14. Okay. For the duration, you can read the thoughts of certain creatures. When you cast this spell, as your action on each turn until the spell ends, you can focus your mind on any one creature that you can see within 30 feet of you. If the creature you choose has an intelligence of 3 or lower, or doesn't speak any language, the creature is unaffected. You initially learn the surface thoughts of the creature, but is most on its mind in the moment. As an action, you can either shift your attention to another creature's thoughts or attempt to probe deeper into the same creature's mind. If you probe deeper, the target must make a wisdom saving throw. If it fails, you gain insight into its reasoning, if any, its emotional state, and something that looms large in its mind, such as something it worries over, loves, or hates. If it succeeds, the spell ends. Either way, the target knows that you are probing into its mind, and unless you shift your attention to another creature's thoughts, the creature can use its action on its turn to make an intelligence check contested by your intelligence. If it succeeds, the spell ends. Basically,
nice.
it's a passive spell that I don't really need to aim. The wisdom
Just
stave
within
is
30 feet.
Yep. Yep, he just needs to focus on it to see, is this a thing? And it's only if he tries to force his way deeper that a save needs to be made.
Let's see. I mean, you can also use the spell to detect the presence of thinking creatures that you can't see, too.
Also true. So either way, he's casting the spell. But he's going to focus on the thing that's there, that he can see.
Well, I'll give a little flavor here. So this has a radius of about 30 feet. You can detect within 30 feet. There are about like 3 individuals. You assume that they're probably other library goers. But you're focusing in on this pile of cloth. And you start to hear some strings of thought. It seems to be thinking of packing peanuts. There seems to be some random trivia that is going through their head. It seems to be very arbitrary, almost as if the person isn't focusing on thinking.
I think when he gets that, his immediate thought is, oh, there is someone here, but they might be sleeping. Because, weird thoughts are pretty common when you're fast asleep and, not actually really thinking about things. It's stream of consciousness. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So I think he's actually going to try and be a bit quieter because, alright, this doesn't seem to be a threat. It's just some very unusual toon who's asleep. I don't want to be rude and wake him up. I'll just try and creep by more quietly.
Okay. Do you pass them, or?
Yeah, I think he's going to try and pass them, but I think he's going to try and, like I said, he's trying not to disturb them, so he's going to try and stealth by.
Alright, you want to roll stealth?
I warn you, he actually has a pretty good modifier for that one. It's a 3. Oh, only a 14. Well, then again, he
only a 14, you say?
Well, then again, he is wearing sandals.
Mood.
Like those flip-floppy type style sandals.
Okay. So, you kind of just you kind of sneak by this supposedly sleeping pile of cloth.
He's made the assumption that this is a toon at this point. This is probably some toon that they're everything. They're everything. At this point,
they're everywhere.
It is a fact of life that there's literally a toon that is every type of being and object in the universe. This is oddly just one that he hasn't seen before.
Nice. So, something else. So, you're focusing on sneaking, kind of sneaking past. Do you mind making a dex save?
Oh, dear. Sure. Let me see if I can remember how to do savings. Let's see. That's his dex save. Oh, it's only a +1.
Oh, yeah, I should probably make one too. 11. Yeah. And an 8.
Oh,
all right.
Dear.
So, you successfully navigate past this sleeping toon, and you bump right into a different toon. The collision isn't very bad though. In fact, you kind of just hear this like squeaky toy sound effect as you like bump into them, and they go, "Oh, dear. I'm sorry. Hello."
He really pauses and I go, sorry. I wasn't looking where I was going. Sorry.
Oh, well, I really wasn't either. And they adjust their little spectacles on their face. This looks to be a soft-looking teddy bear too, um, as like a cute little red sweater vest. And they
Oh.
how tall is Kirian again?
I don't remember. Let me check. I have it.
I'm always
Down.
curious.
Let's see. He's about 5'3".
So you're a bit taller than this bear. This bear's, I think, a little less than 5 foot. Uh, but they go, "Oh, sorry. You haven't happened to see anyone maybe around this height?" And he kind of holds their arm out a little, and it seems to be about 3 feet off the ground.
No. I haven't seen anyone. I've heard a few other people here, but no, I haven't really seen anyone.
I see. They look ever so slightly disappointed. I just don't know where he went off to.
Describe them for me. I may have seen them in passing. I have to admit, I haven't been paying very much attention.
Oh, well, they're kind of like their texture's kind of like a potato sack, kind of like a bunch of cloth. They've got some patches on them, and well, he's rather short. Sometimes has some loose threads.
A pile, cloth. I think in that case, I think I may
Yes,
have
I know
seen
it's
them.
probably a little odd, but
I think I may have seen them. In fact, then, I believe they're on top of the shelves. And he kind of points to the cloth that he'd spotted earlier.
on top of the the bear kind of like looks over. Oh, is he sleeping?
Potentially. I don't know. I didn't. I haven't been inclined to check.
This Toon Bear gives a tired sigh. He's not supposed to be sleeping. We're supposed to be studying. And they kind of take a couple quiet steps over. And you can see them kind of poke a little at the at the little cloth pile. Bloom, please wake up. Why'd you take a nap here? And you kind of see the pile stir for a moment. And and then you kind of see what looks to be a bit of a head kind of raise up a little. And yeah, the cloth kind of, it seems to kind of contract a little, and you can see now that it forms into more of a person-y shape, if you will. I guess the easiest way to describe it's kind of like one of those straw dolls or something. A little closer to that.
You mean like a rag doll?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen those. They're cute.
But this one looks just a little grumpy.
Yeah.
You found me. Yes, I did. It's time to go and do some more studying. Did you hide on purpose? And The bear kind of puts their hands on their hips. No, maybe. Oh, there's someone else here, and they've spotted you.
I think his face was trending towards kind of amused because he kind of remembers knowing someone who was a bit like that, being the one who's like, I need to study in order to get this thing done, and the friend being more inclined to just fall asleep at the table. Like, he's familiar with this. This is like a pretty normal dynamic for people.
Yeah.
But he does kind of pause a bit once the attention's on him and just kind of lifts a hand and gives a very small wave.
Oh, this is I'm sorry for any trouble. And the bear is now addressing you. Thank you for helping me.
No problem. I was just coming here to do a bit of here to look some things up and happened to spot him while looking in this section for something. That's all.
This section. Wait a minute. The books. And they kind of point a kind of a thready finger at you. Those ones. You're looking at tailoring, catalog stuff.
Yes and no. I picked up something interesting, and I'm not quite sure what it is. I just know that it's magic and it's cloth, and I came to try and figure out what it is.
Magic and cloth are my middle names. Or, well, not really, but you know what I mean. Help me down, would you, Connie? And you can see the bear, who you now know's name is Connie. Kind of, you see them like pick up this little cloth man and kind of set him down on the ground. And yeah, you can tell that this guy's at least 2 feet shorter than the bear.
I think also when he says the magic and cloth thing, Kirian kind of smiles a bit and says, "Really, I never would have guessed." And it's that kind of gentle smile of, "Yeah, I could tell, but obviously." It's kind of like when you meet someone and they say something kind of obvious, but they're so sincere about it that it's more amusing than anything else.
And the little ragdoll kind of gives a kind of a wry grin, like, "Yeah, wouldn't you know it? I did used to be a tailor."
That actually gets some raised eyebrows and goes, "Really? Now, that I do have to admit I wasn't expecting."
Oh, well, I bet you weren't expecting that I left that, but to become a doctor. And he gives a rather wide grin. But Connie seems to have a little bit of a worried look.
Oh, a doctor? What branch?
General, I think.
General medicine?
Anyway,
pediatric?
Surgery.
Oh, surgeon. Surgeon. That's quite complicated. I heard you have to do a lot of schooling for that. Never had a head for it myself.
Yeah, you do. And you can tell, like, he's kind of, like, got a couple of the sweat drops, and Connie's just giving this a look.
Yeah, I think Kirian has probably figured it out. I think Kirian has probably figured out from pure tone of voice. At this point, he's just kind of... He's a little bit of a shit. He's a little bit of a shit, so he can't help egging kind of like nudging at the guy a bit. It's like, oh yes, it's very difficult.
Well, lucky I've got some experience. though schooling is always definitely helpful. Remember, and he kind of gives kind of kind of a little pat on the back to this rag doll.
I think Kirian
So
kind of gets a little bit of a faraway look, and I said, "Now to think of it, I think I do remember the old doctor back home saying something about 12 years in addition to regular schooling. I don't quite remember now."
hold on, I'm gonna roll something.
Look, I
Okay,
know surgery is really long, and I know that you need at least 6 years of medical school in order to get really far.
God,
Oh,
a
7.
good. So then this ragdoll kind of just blurts out, "Wait, I gotta go to school for how long?" Oh, please keep your voice down. We're in the library. but Connie, you didn't tell me I was gonna have to study that long.
I think Kirian's ears kind of jump up a bit and goes, "Oh, well, to be fair, the doctor I don't remember if he was specifically a surgeon. I think he said something about being a sorcerer's apprentice, then switching to very intense alchemy. But I remember he said something along those lines of at least there's a lot of schooling just because you have to jump through a lot of certifications and things."
This is gonna be so much harder than I thought. And you can kind of see him deflate a little bit.
Well, Kieran just kind of nods and says, "Well, people are putting their lives in your hands, so of course they want to make sure that you're the best at what you can do."
Well, I can assure you I'm at least pretty decent. I would say good, but that could be debated. And he kind of just starts wandering a little bit out of the aisle, if you will. Uh, oh, where are you going? I suppose we should go back to our studies, but um, we could certainly help with any queries that you have.
And I think Kirian pauses for a moment and he thinks, "Well, the item I have is a little strange. I can't really peg down what it is, mostly because at the moment it doesn't look like anything, to be honest. So I'm not even sure quite what to ask."
So, you have it with you?
"Oh, well, yes. I travel a lot, so I don't really have an anchored place where I could leave things behind, anyways."
Well, and you can see the ragdoll just like make a hand gesture, like, go on.
Uh, I have it here in my bag. And he pats the bag that he's got thrown over his shoulder.
Well, I mean, we're not going to figure it out if you don't take it out. Oh, but please be patient. Perhaps they're not comfortable with us, you know. And you can see Connie kind of fret a little bit.
Oh, it's not my hammer space.
Oh,
He
they both
kinda,
look a little surprised.
well, I knew I would have to pull it out, and, well, sometimes it's just easier to have what you have on hand instead of hunting through and, well, yes. I just thought it would be easier for researching.
Connie gives an understanding nod, but the ragdoll just kind of looks a little confused.
I take it he hasn't fumbled yet, has he? Well, I suppose if there's a table nearby, I could set them out to show you.
Oh, yes, we have our research materials over here, and the three of you kind of walk past a few other shelves, and there seems to be kind of a like the cleared out section where they have the tables and chairs.
Yep, I know that.
And you can see that there is a table with with a couple other books. There seems to be a couple of diagrams mixed in, but you also see some spools of thread and a couple scraps of cloth. You have a feeling that's probably their table.
Yeah, educated guess moment. But I think he then just kind of wanders over to the spot that looks mostly clear-ish of stuff and just shrugs off his bag, which is, you know those bags that look like canvas, but they have a drawstring pull top and the strings actually make up the strap of the bag that you carry it over your shoulder with? That's the kind of bag he has.
Nice.
So he takes that off and he opens it up and he just removes this pile of rags and sets it down and goes, this is it.
The two of them kind of lean in and they take a look. Now I'm going to see if either of them know what it is off the bat, which I don't think they do. But what do you suggest I would roll?
I would think it would be either history or arcana, because arcana, since it's a magic item, but history, since at least one of them has worked as a tailor and has probably worked with all kinds of magic items, or at least all kinds of cloth things.
So for that one's the same. So would you rather? So which one would you rather?
I'm going to lean towards arcana since it's a magic item.
Okay.
We can save history as the backup in case the arcana roll is bad. Oh! A nat 20 and a 7. Ladies and gentlemen.
I wonder if you can guess which one.
I'm guessing the nat 20 is the bear and the 7 is the ragdoll? Or is it the reverse?
Well, once you know it, it's the other way around. So, Connie just kind of furrows their brow a little. That is rather odd. They're just scraps of cloth. But you can see the ragdoll's eyes widen. Oh, that's a shiftweave. Where'd you get one of these?
Oh, I met Glorp and I helped them out with something, and this was something I was given afterwards. I noticed it was magic and took it because I was curious.
Oh, you met Glorp. Well, I've yet to meet them, but I have wandered into the store sometimes. And they kind of climb up onto one of the chairs and they actually get onto they get onto the desk and they just kind of sit there.
I think Kirian...
I haven't seen one of these in a while.
Yeah, Kirian smiles a bit at the Glorp and goes, they are very, very sweet.
That's nice.
And you've seen this before. What is a shiftweave? I don't know what that is.
It probably would be something that works well for, a traveler like you. You basically say a particular word and you can turn into different outfits.
Oh, that could be useful.
Now, granted, I don't know what word. I've never had a shiftweave because, well, and he gestures to himself. It's actually rather obvious. This ragdoll, he's one of those toons that doesn't have to wear clothes. He's just kind of just a doll.
Yeah.
Just one face color, kind of.
I think Kirian kind of pauses for a moment and says, so it runs off of an activation word. Okay. That must be what's on the paper then. And he reaches back into the bag and very carefully pulls out this tiny little scrap of parchment with something written on it. this was in with the clothing. This must be the activation word then. Okay. I thought it might have
good. It
been
came
that.
with instructions.
Oh, not instructions, just the word. And he turns it over and shows that there's literally just one word written in ink, no other information.
Oh.
Yes, you can see why I decided that I needed to research it before I did anything.
Makes sense. After all, you can't be too careful. And Connie sits down as well. And they kind of both expectantly look at you like, you gotta try it out.
I think Kirian, he picks up on that really easy, and funnily enough, his cheeks turn a little pink because it's a silly word. It's a silly word. It's the word, and he very carefully turns it over and just he puts his hand on it because for some reason a lot of magic stuff you never know if you can just say the word near it to make it work or if you have to touch it because some of them are rather particular. But he sets his hand on top and just the cheeks are ever so slightly pink and goes, and he reads off the word, which is spoofy. And that's and what I was told to do the first time that the word is said is to roll a d3 to find out what it turns into the very first time it is used. 3. It turns into this fluffy it turns into a onesie, basically. It turns into a onesie that looks like a cat, but it's got fairy wings on it. And I actually did a drawing of this.
And I've seen it, and it's good.
Well, it's about to be better because I colored it.
Oh.
Yes. I'm posting it in the roll zone. Just give it just a moment.
Oh yeah, no wish.
Come on.
In the meantime, the other two kind of as they look and the transformation occurs. Oh cute.
It for anyone who looks at the picture or is watching the video later, the details for the onesie was that it was supposed to be based off of the character's favorite magical animal. And for Kirian, I knew that his favorite animal was going to be black cats. He really just loves black cats. And for a long time, I couldn't think of a magical animal until abruptly I remembered one of my favorites, which is called the Shay, which is a fairy cat from Irish mythology who's supposed to be an all-black cat with a patch of white on its chest. And it's actually the creature who's the origin of the King of Cats characters in myths. So it turns into that, but the onesie has like blue cat eyes and a pair of fairy wings just to mark down the fairy part of it.
And it is very cute. Connie kind of looks rather odd, like, oh, and then, oh, how sweet. And
Carrie has got absolutely sparkle-eyed because, like I
the
said,
ragdoll just kind of looks like.
Yeah. Kirian has got a little bit sparkle-eyed because that's his favorite. That's one of his favorites. He likes those kitties. They're cute.
I didn't know it would make something this comfortable. And kind of just tilts his head. Does it mean something?
It's a Kate Shay. I love Kate Shays. They're so cute. And he's kind of picked it up now because it's his favorite animal. It's cute. It's a fairy cat. And I think he at least says the fairy cat bit out loud. It's a fairy cat. And, like,
Oh.
his own tail has started wagging because it's his thing. He loves it.
A fairy cat. I didn't know cats could be fairies. Or fairies could be cats. Sounds neat.
Yeah, there are all kinds of things. I know there's also the couche, which is the dog fairy that takes a big green dog with a braided tail.
A green dog.
Oh, yes.
You can tell, though, that he recoils a little bit. I don't know about dogs. Well, a lot of animals, really. That's okay. Does it fit?
I don't know, but I think I'm about to find out. Is there a restroom nearby that I could duck into? And he's now straightening up to look around because, okay, now he wants to try this on. This is the thing. He wants to try it on now.
Oh, let's see.
I
And
guess
you can see
double
Connie is now looking
perception?
around, too.
Double perception then.
We're all gonna roll perception. Ooh, 18.
18. He locks in.
I'll just use their passives, it's easier. Yeah, Connie's still looking around, but you zero in on it, and the ragdoll follows your gaze. Oh, there it is.
I will be right back. And he leaves his bag behind with them.
Just freaking beelines for it.
Yes. He doesn't give in to toony urgings as often as most people do, but boy howdy, he's got one, and it's being fulfilled right now.
Good.
But he comes back out after changing, and he's got it on now, and he looks very, very happy with himself. And he strides back and goes, "It is very soft."
Oh, it looks soft. And it looks rather nice on you.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, the doctor's kind of tilts his head back and forth. It does seem pretty well made, I think. And he's kind of walking around you, taking a look around.
Yes, it seems it. I'm not used to getting something that looks quite this new. And he's now kind of coming out of his excited moment to kind of properly examine what he's put on. And
You don't get many clothes?
no, and even then I usually buy secondhand. Which is a true fact because he's got the urchin background. He's the street kid. He usually didn't really have the money to buy things new. So getting something that feels brand new is just exhilarating.
And now he narrows his eyes and kind of looks over at Connie. Why don't we take a break from studying? And why don't you get yourself another pair of clothes? We can help out with that, can't we? And Connie gives this look like we should be studying, but also you've got a point.
And Kirian just kind of blinks at that and goes, "Well, that would be nice, but you said these could do more than one set, I think."
Yes. I believe the most I've seen is 5, but I think there are versions that have 3 or 4 outfits. I don't know which one this is.
And Kirian gets his thoughtful look and says, "Well, I suppose in a case like this, there's really only one way to find out." And he repeats the word again. But I think I'm going to roll a d2 just to figure out which of the 2 remaining outfits it turns into. Because at the moment, there's supposed to be 3, but Kirian does not know this. Ah! Yes! Immediately, the one that throws him way out of his comfort zone.
Oh no.
The fancy look. As stated previously, he's a street urchin. He's not used to fancy things. He's not used to buying things new. This thing turns into, as soon as it's finished loading. Come on. Come on.
It's okay.
It turns
There it is.
Fancy 3-piece crushed velvet suit. Never in his life has he worn anything like this. And he kind of visibly freezes up and goes, oh, okay. This is different.
And again, Connie just looks rather surprised, like, oh. But this time, the doctor isn't as bewildered. Yeah, say that. That makes a little more sense.
And
at least how I've seen Shiftweaves used.
Okay, just another moment just to describe it. It is a 3-piece crushed velvet suit, but the 3 pieces, for people listening who aren't able to see the pictures, are that it's a tailcoat along with a blue vest. All of it's in shades of blue. It's a tailcoat with blue vest and pressed pants, and it's very, very fancy because I took the time to draw it. Very, very fancy. And Kirian has never in his life worn anything fancy. I don't think he's even worn a suit jacket before.
And yet here we are.
And yet here we are. He is also still in his sandals.
Nice.
But he's looking down at this, and I guess for both of them, roll insight for a moment.
Ooh, that'll be fun. All right, what's your insight? Yours is that one. Yours is that one. Right. Okay. There must be. Oh my god!
Ragdoll and Bear again?
Yeah! For Connie.
Okay.
That's a break today.
For Connie...
Nat 1 to the insight.
For Connie... He just looks a little bewildered. He looks a little bewildered. This is obviously... He wasn't expecting it. But you know what? This is a magic item. This is like the second time he's used it. Of course he's not expecting it. Nothing unusual or nothing you need to look into there. For the other one, whose name I don't think we've actually introduced anyone.
He didn't bother yet.
Yet. Okay, to our lovely Ragdoll. You pick up on the fact that this is bewilderment and slight discomfort of someone who has never, ever had the opportunity to put something fancy on before. It's the kind of bewilderment you get where you have someone step into like a high quality shop for the first time in their lives, and they are so utterly befuddled and bewildered that they don't even know how they're supposed to process it. You've probably seen a customer like that or two where they've gone to put on something fancy for a fancy party and they've never done it before in their lives.
And he blinks a couple of times. Oh, bless my stitches. And he kind of walks forward a little. You know, we can get you something. It doesn't have to be fancy like this. I get if it's a bit out of your comfort zone, but it's nice to indulge in something like it. I know a pretty neat clothing store.
I think you see one of the ears twitch, and he goes, I've never worn something like this before. Ever. I didn't think I could.
Well, of course you can. Anyone can wear what they want. I mean, well, if they have it in your size, of course. I mean, they don't usually have things in my size, and he's very small.
I think you're gonna want to roll insight a second time. There's a double meaning behind that.
Oh. Okay. 18. Man, he's still rolling well.
It takes a moment to sink in, but then it dawns on you that the other time people say stuff like that is when they have never had the money to wear something like that. Fancy clothes are really, really expensive, especially quality ones. And for most people, the biggest barrier is having the money to afford it. And it kind of dawns on you that he might not mean that he doesn't think it fits. He might mean that he's never had the money to even try something like this on before. And now he's wearing
it. He pauses. He snaps his head over to Connie. All right, Connie, pack the stuff. We're going to go to the store. And immediately he kind of uncurls his hand and offers it to Kirian.
I think you finally kind of pulled him out of his head enough because, it's one of those moments where he was kind of reeling because, oh, this is a thing. I didn't even know I would get the chance to do something like this. Okay, I own this now. And now you're talking about buying things like you've set in, you've triggered the wait a minute, that's money kind of reflex. It's like no, you don't need to. You
don't need to, kid. And he turns back around. I know that book. And I get it. I mean, you know as well, Connie. I know money is money.
And it's hard to get.
Yes. But I've made my living, both tailoring and other things. And, I just... Why don't we check it out together? You know? I know somebody.
His ears kind of twist down, his eyes kind of trail down to his feet, and finally he kind of goes, well, I guess I do need shoes for something like this. I don't think my sandals match very well. And he kind of sticks a foot out with the orange flip-flop sandal. That's most certainly not the kind of thing that goes with a fancy 3-piece velvet suit.
Yeah. He kind of gives a chuckle, though. I don't know. Seems kind of neat to me. Come on, Connie. And you could see both of them kind of just start gathering stuff together.
And I think at this point, Kirian pauses and goes, I've completely forgotten my manners. I never introduced myself, did I?
Oh, you're right. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't introduce myself either. Oh, I am Constance Lane. And they kind of hold out a paw.
And Kirian very lightly takes it and goes, Kirian Blackwelle. And he turns to the ragdoll.
Kirian.
Yes?
Nothing. It's just something funny. I'm, and he kind of looks a little at Connie for a moment, but continues. I'm Dr. Misra. It's nice to meet you too.
And he does the handshake a second time. He doesn't pick up on it. Like sometimes tunes just use one name. He doesn't get what the funny look is. That's what they do.
Connie just gives a small sigh. So where are we headed? And they just look expectantly at Misra, and he goes, "Well, to Campbell's, of course." And if you would indulge me for a moment, I'd like to think that there's just the kind of the scene change, and then suddenly we're at the store.
Oh yes, of course, a good old tune transition, which also kind of works in universe from what I've gathered. So I think for a moment you see Kirian's ears twist back and goes, okay, Campbell's. Okay, we're here now.
Yeah, they have some pretty good stuff. Not too expensive, but it's not dirt cheap either. It's pretty middle ground.
Alrighty then. Okay. And I think he actually kind of does something a little weird, which is that he sticks his hand in his sleeve. Because that's where his actual hammer space is, which is usually in the sleeve of his coat. And he sticks his hand in there, and he's basically checking for his wallet. It's like, okay, I should actually pull that out now. That way I won't be fumbling for it later. So let's see if he successfully pulls out his wallet. 9! He pulls it out. Success. And his wallet is like one of those classic satchels for, carrying coins. Classic, simple, and effective.
The doctor notices. No, put that away. We're gonna handle it. Besides, she owes me a favor. And he just goes and opens the door to the place.
I guess I'm not getting a choice in this one. And he keeps it out. But he wanders in after. He just plops it inside his bag instead. So it's not like in the hammer space. Just in case.
Just in case. Connie kind of trails in after the both of you and goes, "Oh, I must apologize about my father there. He could be a bit
father.
Yes. This is he is my creator, if you will. But it's easier to call him Dad. Father is more appropriate, I suppose."
You get this blank look for a few minutes of someone who's processing information. Like, you've probably... Connie's probably met this face before of someone who's trying to put together the clues of what you're saying, because there's this design disconnect, and they're trying to piece together how that works. But it kind of clears up a little bit when you say creator, because that's a slightly different relationship, even if it uses a lot of the same words.
And believe me, Connie nods. Yeah, I know it does seem a little odd, but I was just a regular teddy bear that he had made before. I just spontaneously gained sentience. And Well, it's a long story, but we finally reunited after how long has it been? A quarter of a century. But you can see him now. The doctor's just kind of you can see him like approach one of the clothing racks and start like rummaging through it.
That processing face, you brought it back. He's now trying to do math in his head of, okay. There are toons who spontaneously appear from nowhere. That's established. I know this is fact. Quarter of a century, that's 25 years. Why didn't they just say 25 years? Why specifically a quarter of a century? Unless they mean a century isn't longer? What?
Connie just gives another sigh.
The math is being done, and it's mostly making sense. It's more the wording that's throwing him off. But eventually it kind of fades a bit to, I'm not going to think about it anymore. I'm just going to accept it.
Now we don't have time to unpack all that.
As much as I'd like to unpack all of that, we should set that aside for later.
As you're trying to process this, Kirian, would you like to make perhaps a perception or anything?
Yeah. That's probably a good idea. This is a new location.
New location, yeah. 15.
15. Nice. I kind of expected him to somehow fumble this one.
But this place is actually pretty nice. It feels warm, probably because a lot of the tones are like reddish or orange.
He likes those colors.
It's got some tile, like a little bit of tile area, some carpet area, and it does have kind of like a desk where there would be like there's like a register, but there's also just a portion where someone would be working as well. You do see a couple of fitting rooms.
Sewing desk.
Yes.
But he's now kind of peering around. It's like, okay.
It seems relatively quiet. Maybe they just haven't reached their like busiest hour yet.
I mean,
you do see one or two milling about.
Yeah, for clothing stores, especially ones that also do tailoring, they're usually pretty quiet because they're more of a specialized store, if I remember right. So a lot of they don't get huge crowds of people all in at once. So that's not too surprising. But is there anyone at the register? Like, because you'd think that at least you'd kind of be able to pin a guess of which people are there who work there.
That's true. Maybe roll something. Okay. So there is somebody at the register. They seem to be just kind of just standing there, surveying the scene. They've got like this little red apron on with a red cap and wears some big round glasses. They're just kind of vibing. They're just chilling.
They're vibing.
Yep. So they kind of turn and slightly look at you guys since you just came in, but they just give a polite nod.
Yeah. He's now mentally marked at least one person who works there. Because, there's nothing more eerie like walking into a store and not seeing an employee. There's just something kind of eerie about that, especially for a small shop.
Oh, yeah.
So, I guess he just kind of starts peering around because he doesn't know what he's looking for. He knows roughly that at least one thing he should look for is shoes and maybe a pair of socks. But other than that, no idea. Not a clue.
And as you start to look around, you still see Connie just a little ways away, looking at one or two dresses. But you have lost complete sight of the doctor. He's just gone. You don't know where he is.
Well, I know there's a doctor in the house somewhere, even if I can't see him.
But I forgot what I was going to say.
I derailed you with my joke.
It was a good joke. Very good. I walked right into that one.
It's a classic. It's a classic.
Yeah. I you take a look. You're trying to find some shoes, and or socks, probably both.
Likely both.
It seems closer to the front. There seems to be blouses, pants, shorts. So you might have to venture a bit further in.
Well, that's how it usually is with shoes. They're not near the front. They're usually at least a couple rows in. So I guess he starts kind of meandering his way to approximately where he would guess shoes would be.
And as you approach the displays where there would be shoes, you do find shoes, but you also find the doctor, and he seems to be talking with another person. They seem to be having quite the
intense
discussion.
Oh.
Yes.
I think we have another moment of the ears twisting back, and he's wondering, do I step closer and potentially get pulled in, or should I stand back and wait for them to move somewhere else? I suppose this is an insight moment just for him trying to figure out, is this safe to approach, or should I stand back?
Yeah, if you'd like.
Let's see if he can roll insight on this. 18!
You can tell that there's something happening, and it doesn't seem very good. You can tell by the red apron that this is another employee, but the two of them seem to be. It's almost on the cusp of arguing, but not quite there. Doesn't seem it's going to be like a full altercation or anything. But
it's still in the heated discussion zone.
Yes, and they seem to both be holding like different pairs of shoes, and you kind of you only step a tiny bit to maybe listen in a little, and you hear one of them talking about like some style maybe, and the other one is talking about the color, and maybe they're just disagreeing on something.
Okay. Problem here is, I don't know what Kirian would do. Because my reflex would be to try and, like, avoid getting caught up in it, except he's kind of here with one of the people involved. And he's pretty sure that the discussion is at least partially about shoes for him, but, like, what does he do? Does he step forward and get involved and potentially make it worse? Or does he stand back and wait until one of them notices him? It's a very important question. So I guess this would almost be a moment where I'd say for one of them to roll perception to see which of them notices this person in the fancy crushed velvet suit just kind of standing there nervously almost watching them trying to figure out what to do.
Sure, hold on, let me see. That's really funny. Yeah, fun fact, they both have the same perception.
Oh, this should be interesting then.
Oh, they're both in the throes of arguing. Neither of them noticed. However,
they
I will
notice
say
that there
that
is a
Connie has
person there.
noticed.
They've noticed that there's a person there. They have not noticed who this person is.
They also, neither of them care.
That's true too.
But you hear Connie kind of walk up next to you. Oh, something. Oh, Father. He kind of just does a little face palm, like, oh, geez.
Is this normal when your father takes you shopping for clothing?
Oh, well, that's. And they kind of just have a slight grimace. It's. Let's see, and you can tell that they're struggling to kind of explain it.
Is it this specific store that this sort of thing happens then?
No. See, I mean, Father doesn't really need to wear clothing, and I buy my own clothes. This is unusual. I mean, he doesn't really get out much, at least not in the past few months. So, I'm a little bit worried. But we can diffuse the situation, but you may stay here if you would like. I understand these can be rather distressing.
I'm going to stand back, if only because I don't really know what to say that could help.
As you say this, you see the doctor, his head turn over slightly, and now he's noticed at least Connie, and then now notices you. Oh, there you two are. Oh, could you come over here? And you can see the other individual is like, what are you? Oh, is that? Yes, that's the one that I'm buying the shoes for. It wasn't for me. And the employee looks a little embarrassed.
And goes, oh, now the argument makes sense.
I understand now, I think. But, you really didn't have to push the point about, and she's pointing to something on the shoe, and he's like, oh, wow. And the two of them kind of grumble at each other for a moment.
You just kind of twist back and said, well, to be honest, I barely understand anything since this day has started, so
Oh, but aren't you looking sophisticated? And this employee, like an older woman with graying hair and a pointed nose. What's the occasion, if I may ask?
Magic item that I didn't know what it did, and apparently it did this. And he just kind of vaguely gestures. It's like, so there's no real event. There's not really an event. This is more, got a new thing. Didn't really know that it did this. Trying to figure out how to handle that. Now I'm here.
She blinks. It transformed?
Yes.
Oh, so it's a Shiftweave. That makes sense.
Yeah. And his shoulders kind of sag a little bit because he literally didn't even know this is a thing that existed before, and now he has one and he's wearing it. This is uncharted territory.
And you notice though, out of her apron pocket, she takes out like some measuring tape, and now she's kind of slowly pacing around you. It does seem to be a good fit. The color, that's pretty nice. I understand why you're getting the shoes now. And she points out how orange the sandals are.
I like my
Now, blue and orange may be complementary colors, but the style may need a bit of work.
These are my normal sandals. I can't really help it.
But, sorry, I blanked out for a second. A lot of processing is going on.
Yes, Kiri isn't the only one stuck in processing mode.
All right. Why don't you take a seat for a moment? And she gestures to, one of those chairs or bench thingies that you can try the shoes on.
Yeah, I think he kind of does that. He's used to wearing longer coats, so he probably like habitually does that kind of flip thing you do at one of those like hip length coats, so that way you don't sit on it and half choke yourself by accident.
Yeah.
Which kind of works with the tailcoat because it's like same habit, same reflex. You can just keep doing it.
But she takes another glance over. Okay. Do you know what size you are?
Yes. Do I have to actually say the size? Because I never actually thought about that.
No, I would like to think that you just like you either tell it or you just like flip over your sandal and it has like the size on it.
I think he just kind of tells it because I think he's had those sandals so long that he's long since rubbed down the spot where it would have said the number.
Makes sense.
They're the old reliable. He's attached to them. He can't help it.
That's a big mood, and now it makes me think of all the shoes that that I've worn down a lot.
Well, it's also I would wager a tune thing because you've got the shoes that are part of your design. You have them forever. You have them until you literally run them out.
Precisely. But she nods and goes, "Oh, I forgot." And she extends a hand, rather elegantly. You may call me Amaryllis. I work here.
Nice to meet you, Miss Amaryllis. I'm Kirian Blackwelle. And he returns the shake, but he kind of does that almost thing where they kind of catch the hand underneath because, she's being very ladylike. That's the thing you kind of do, right?
She looks slightly impressed.
He knows his manners.
Now, just wait a moment.
He's never been fancy, but he does know his manners.
Good. She just give a nod. Now let's see if we can't get you some shoes. But Dr. Muser kind of butts in. So I'm right here. They're gonna work just fine. And he does have a pair of shoes still in hand. To which she kind of frowns. No, I just don't think that's going to work. I feel like, and she kind of scans over a couple of pairs before she goes, I think these ones would probably work. Well, I just really don't think it fits with the correct era. And it looks like the two might go back into kind of bickering a little as to which pair is better.
Well, wouldn't it first be a good idea to check that you have the right size first?
Oh, well, he looks down at the pair he's got. These are your size. And they are, surprisingly.
He kind of stares for a moment and goes, Did you pick that out just by looking?
Well, I mean, like I told you, I have plenty of experience. I know what I'm talking about. And but he kind of gives a pointed look at Amaryllis, who kind of just scoffs. Well, I've been in the business for quite a while. Are you a tailor too? And he kind of just he gives this look like, oh really? You ask me that? Of course. What do you think it looks like?
I thought you said you were shifting to becoming a doctor.
And he nods, but kind of glances back and forth. And now the employee looks a little puzzled. Doctor. Wait a moment. And she kind of walks around and inspects him. You can't be. Are you Dr. Misra? Yes. Guilty as charged. Suddenly things are rather confusing.
I think Kirian's face is kind of shifted to the, oh dear, I've done something. Have I done something wrong? I don't know what's going on anymore.
And but Connie's gonna explain. They kind of step in and go, I think I can explain this one for you, Kirian. You see, he was a bit of a recluse. He wouldn't really, he would send products to different stores, but he wouldn't actually go himself. A lot of people haven't met him in person. I think this is one of those cases.
The moment you say recluse and sends things out, you see his entire face change to complete understanding. Like, he knows someone who's just like this. He knows someone who this is that you could probably describe in the exact same way. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
So you, this, and she gestures to all of them. You are the doctor? What? You don't think I could be a doctor? What were you expecting? Some real tall, gangly thing? Well, I certainly wasn't expecting some patchy, raggedy-looking thing. Oh, so now you want to insult me after everything I've done for you. Oh, and what has that been? Causing a ruckus in the store? And he just goes, well, I mean, you got the thread, don't you? Right. I suppose that is my bad. If you want to stick with those shoes, I guess you could. But you could always get more than one pair of shoes. Also, you need socks.
I was intending to look for those. Did not get that far.
Why don't why don't Kirian and I go and look for some socks, and you two can hash out uh, anything that needs to be discussed.
That's a great idea, Kai. And he gives the smile, but it looks like the smile slightly irritated.
Yeah, we can have a nice chat.
The smile that says, this isn't going to be a casual conversation, this is going to be more bickering, but we're trying to be polite.
Yes. And Emma looks rather similar.
Yes, we'll be a moment.
And you can see the two of them kind of like scurry to closer to one of the other tailoring desks. And they're going to be
occupied for a while.
Yes.
I think Kirian turns to Connie and says, I have no idea what I'm looking for, but I think, at the very least, white tends to go with just about anything, right? So how about we just find some simple white socks?
That sounds good.
And
I think I saw some this way.
All right,
so
I'm
kind
going
of
to follow
the two
you.
Pad over to.
You guys go for some nice, plain, comfy-looking socks.
There are a couple different varieties. You got the ankle socks. You got the regular crew socks. You've got some, even some stockings.
You've got a myriad to choose from.
But
I think he'll probably just grab some plain, not very fancy crew socks. Just because, like he said, they're standard. They go with pretty much anything. You don't have to worry about them being too short. Most of the time, you don't have to worry about them being too long. They're the standard staple.
And you notice a big difference in that Connie doesn't say anything, or at the very least, doesn't try and persuade you to pick an option. They just kind of let you wander about, choose for yourself. But when you guys head back to the shoe section, things have seemed to calm down a bit. And there are actually 2 or 3 pairs out, pairs of shoes out where you were sitting before.
I'm going to make a guess and say that I'm supposed to try those on.
Well, only if you would like to. I realize that my recommendations can sometimes, it may not work for everyone.
And that was kind of pushy. So these are for you, so pick the ones that you want.
I think I'm going to just... I think I'll just try them on just so I can tell, because sometimes you don't know unless you feel it. And
they all kind of nod and understand it. Like,
yeah. I think that is the point where he sits down, and I know which ones that I went with for drawing, because I think I might have showed you a picture. But what do you think the other 2 were colored as? I would imagine there'd probably be at least one that was like black or something.
Yeah, I was imagining there was a pair of black shoes. There's a pair of I would say a darker colored brown. I think there was a pair of blue shoes too, to try to match the tone of the suit. But that's pretty much where we're at.
I think he picks up the black ones first. I think he might ignore the blue ones just because, some people can do all blue, but sometimes you just feel like there's a little too much blue. So he probably kind of skims over the blue because already wearing blue pretty much everything else. There's a limit to too much blue before it suddenly gets to be a bit tacky instead of, comfortable. But I think of the three, what he settles on is the kind of darker brown, which I think I doodled up just for the fun of it.
Ooh.
Yeah. I did a bunch of little doodles of the accessories that I thought of, and I gave them color. Because why not? I was bored,
Nice.
and I was bored, and I had a big thing of colored pencils. Nice, simple, one of those ones that kind of lace up.
Nice. And kind of like gives a tiny little clap, like, oh yes, those are nice.
And, he kind of stands up and tests it and goes, yes, I think they are. So, do you want to roll a D3 to see who picked them?
Oh, that's a good idea. I rolled a D4. There was a reason for that, but you you see Dr. Mizra kind of give a thumbs up. See, I knew how to pick them.
And, so you picked it. Okay. All right. What do you think should be looked at next? Because I sent, I think, black and white pictures to you of all the different accessories, but I don't know if you went for anything specific out of them. Or at least, if I didn't, then I'm just remembering wrong and being dumb. Being a goober.
Well, I was gonna say, I wouldn't say that you'd be dumb, but I feel like it's time for one of those like montage moments. So now we're looking at like different accessories.
Yeah, I think it would be better to switch to montage. But
montage.
The ones that I remember picking was that with fancy things you always see stuff like the pocket kerchief or gloves, or pocket kerchief, gloves, and then you've got one of those little like neck ribbons. And those were the kinds of things that I'd sketched out with this one. And those would be my thoughts of the things that get settled on. If you would like me to send the doodles to you.
Well, only if you would like.
I would be delighted because I love sharing things that I draw. I'm very proud of them.
You should be. You do good work.
Thank you. But
you've kind of got like the music in the background at the montage.
I don't know if that's an actual tune. I just made it up on the spot. But
well, it's good and it works.
Yeah.
But
at least it ain't the Benny Hill
during the
theme.
montage you see.
Yeah, because if Benny Hill is going on, then that means something's gone wrong, but usually in a hilarious way.
Nice. But each the you notice. Oh, look at them. I feel like each of the people that have accompanied you on this little shopping excursion picks out the little accessories, or at least helps you to choose one.
Yeah. Because, like, there's technically there's 4 of them, and he's with at least 3 other people, so that means that at least one person can pick one thing each.
Yep.
And by the end of it, he's feeling very fancy, but he's also probably feeling a bit more comfortable now that he's like had the chance to walk around and kind of get used to it. Because, you know, the other thing about when you buy something new is that it always takes you a little bit to get used to wearing it the first time, because it's new, it's unfamiliar, it's something you need to give yourself a chance to get used to.
So now you've completed the look.
Yeah. And I think he also does something, because his hair is long, it's kind of messy, but this is interestingly something he does know how to do on his own, which is he has this kind of inspiration moment and goes, I wonder, I think I could do that. And he reaches into his hammer space and pulls something out. Let's see if he can actually successfully pull it out. Oh, yay, he got it.
Nice.
To the surprise, I think, of the others is that he pulls out 2 of these needle-looking things, and you might recognize them as throwing darts. But what he does with them is that he uses them like those hair chopsticks and just kind of ties his hair up into a bun and then uses those to pin it.
Nice. That's really cool.
And it's a weird thing that he knows how to do, but darn it, he knows how to do it, and it works.
Amarilla starts saying, you know, we do have hair sticks. But Dr. Meeser kind of cuts in with, hey, great. Mr. Connie. And Connie gives an excited nod. That's rather skillful.
Yeah, because have you ever tried to tie your hair up with hair sticks? It's hard. It's hard. I tried it once. It took me like 2 hours. And even then, the bun like fell apart within 5 minutes. It's hard.
I will say it is rather difficult.
And she actually adjusts her own bun, which does have a hair stick.
But it all comes with practice.
And he kind of nods a bit, and it's like, yes, I remember doing it once, ages ago. Just try it. I don't know why. I don't even remember why I did it. I just wanted to try it.
Hey, it worked out. And now look at yourself. And he gestures to the, like, one of those mirrors, the full-length mirrors that's, like, on the wall.
I think Kirian probably pauses, because this is probably the first time that he's actually seen his reflection the whole time they've been there. Because usually for a lot of those little stands, they have like a little mini mirror that's set up for you to tie it, but you've never actually, but not really a full size mirror except like near the changing rooms. So this is like the first moment of actually seeing and taking in the whole assemble. And he gets this different look on his face. And it's, I guess, I think I would say that at least one of them needs to roll an insight for a moment.
All of them roll insight. Wait, let's hear it.
Let's see who fumbles this time.
Yay! Will it be Connie?
Let's find out.
This one. This one. Oh my god! They're all above 20.
Wow. A 24, a 20, and a 21.
And that's Dr. Misra, Connie, and Amaryllis.
You kind of hear him mumble, I don't think anyone from home would even recognize me. And it's that tone of voice, stance, expression. You all kind of get the impression it's less if someone from home saw him, they would be amazed, and more if they saw him dressed up like this, they genuinely probably wouldn't recognize him at first. Or at least that's what he thinks. It's that kind of awe of, I really look like a whole nother person compared to what I normally look like.
Amaryllis speaks up.
It isn't a bad look for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can always pick something more comfortable as well. Not that this isn't comfy, but if it's not exactly your style,
I think I'm going to give you a little bit more. It's not that he dislikes it. It's more like the amazement of, I really look like someone else. I've never done this before. It's not a rejective. It's not a bad kind of odd thing. It's more of an amazed thing. Like, oh wow. Wow.
Connie kind of speaks up too.
It's nice to try something new, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't get to do it very often.
Well, there are still plenty of opportunities to try new things. Isn't that right?
And the doctor nods. And they all look at each other like, this is cool.
Yeah, there always is. And do you want to pause for a moment to like have a snack break or something? Because as we are being politely reminded in the gallery, we are coming up on the 2-hour mark.
Well, I mean, if there's anything else you wanted to add, we could actually just kind of trail it off here.
Well,
for example, you can have them kind of buying up the stuff and
oh, we understand that you're just reminding us. It's just that we're also kind of hitting the home stretch, I think. Like,
I mean, I think so.
I think, you know what, this would actually be funny. I think he probably ends up being coaxed into buying like one more set of clothes, because I feel like that was kind of what he was being nudged towards earlier by the good doctor. And it's probably something a lot more comfortable, like a new vest or like a vest or a new set of slacks or something not as high end, but definitely new. Just to have in the wardrobe rotation. Maybe a short sleeve button up and like a vest and some new slacks and a nice pair of sneakers.
I just wanted to have nice things.
Thank you. He deserves nice things.
Yes.
But I think we would, after that, everyone would pay for things and they probably would go their separate ways, but just for comedic moment, Kirian gets back to where he's been camping because he camps. He prefers camping. And he pauses and he takes it off and realizes, oh wait, there might have been a third one that I could have done with the Shiftweave, wasn't there? And that's where the scene ends. It's like, wait a minute, I could have done more.
But perhaps another time.
Another time.
But yeah, that's a nice way to kind of leave it off.
Is there a funny little epilogue with your trio of troublemakers?
Well, I mean, when you leave Connie and Dr. Mizra, you can see him actually fish into his hammer space, and he pulls out a couple of packing peanuts and starts munching on them as they walk away.
And no conversing about the sudden hospitality of putting this guy who got this magical outfit and getting him all the accessories needed to finish it. Nope, just a normal day.
Well, the two of them do look happy, at least. As for Amaryllis, as you guys had left the store, she kind of put a couple of things back. But she does seem to give kind of a nice warm smile as you guys go, because it's nice to be able to help somebody out, even when things got a little rocky at first.
Yeah. So I guess this is our endpoint.
Yeah.
Well, it was lovely playing with you.
Yeah.
Lovely to do it again.
Yeah.
God, it's been ages since you and I did a game together. I know we did at least one.
Yeah. Thank you for playing. And thank you, listeners, for listening. We wish you a good time zone.
We wish you lots of future fluff and lots of hilarious fumbles.
Yes. Very much so.
All right. I guess I'm going to end my recording.
Yep. Goodbye.
Bye.